November 15th, entry 47. Ice cream and murder. I had a dream about Z getting sent to jail for being an accessory to murder over ice cream. And though the context may have been funny, the dream was in no way amusing. December 4. December 04. At 1:44 p.m. Entry 48. Hypothetically sympathetic. Let's see, where should I begin? I'm not sure how long it's been since my last entry, but all I know is that I could probably use some type of emotional relief and or sublimation right now. The semester's preparing to wind down, classes end next week. I've gotten one project done with one more on the way. I'm downloading like 15 plus movies and multitasking between work, getting enough sleep, and feeling like I'm stressed occasionally for any number of relatively simple reasons. Last night, or this morning rather, since he dropped me off around 2 a.m., I went home with Rick. He's a Gemini, nearly twice my age, has a nice body though, winky emoji, that can hold a conversation like nobody's business. I met him online and I enjoyed spending time with him, so I visited his house out of curiosity. There I saw a picture of his kid, Damie, an Aries of 15 at the time. We chilled for a little. He insisted on me owing him a massage, and though I had anticipated what could result from that massage, I still went with it. My massaging him soon turned into him massaging me, the first time in a while that I've been the physical focus of something non-aggressive, which felt really good. Bracket. Again, not rape. Most of my friends played rough back then. That's all I meant. A massage was a really nice change of pace from bros roughhousing all the time. End bracket. And that turned into a sort of sex, I guess. not full-blown sex, but my usual type. Bracket, casual, relaxed, curious, explorative, foreplay, / unintentional teasing. End bracket. Maybe actually a little less than usual because I was mostly only touching and kissing, though there was a little bit of sucking on his part. Apparently, he considered me a huge tease or something. Bracket, told ya. End bracket. But eventually, after enjoying myself, we headed on our way home. En route, he encouraged me, quote unquote, to drive a standard for the first time. It's easy, quote unquote, he said. It was nerve-wracking, but he said I was doing a good job and he was very nonchalant about it compared to the previous driver teachers I've had. Bracket, they always yelled at me and got really uptight and stressed out. Bill was a little better though, smiley face emoji, end bracket. Anyways, on the way home I got to thinking about my motivation for going further than I generally wish to sexually, beyond my comfort zone. I'm not sure I can call the conclusion an epiphany or anything, but I have been making observations, and I made one that night as well. The observation was this. Quote, I've noticed that, at times, I'm very sensitive to subtle changes in mood, tone, situation, atmosphere, behavior, etc. These changes may contribute to my general passivity when adapting to circumstances. Bracket, if I didn't know what they meant, I may have kept quiet and observed out of curiosity, even when I was an unavoidable target of these expressions and interactions. End bracket. Was it because I feared causing frustration? Question mark. Bracket. I was always sensitive to causing disappointment in others, even though my empathy with others must have sucked as a kid. When I thought I had caused disappointment, it made me very sad. Of course, you couldn't really tell because I've always been adept at masking vulnerable feelings. Also, it's possible that the amount of disappointment in others may have been a cognitive distortion on my part, since you can never perfectly feel what another is going through, but you can know what they're feeling, especially after they've told you. I argued this point with a friend before. I can know how you feel when you've told me prior, but before then I can only empathize with, guess, and or try to understand. End bracket. The induced frustration might either hurt me solely by its existence in my presence or set my sensitive meter fluctuating rapidly because of all the other subtle feelings set off by association. End quote. When you deny or reject someone, they feel confused, uncertain, and sometimes aggressive. Maybe not all at once, though. I don't know why, but this thought made me very nervous. Maybe because I was overgeneralizing, bracket, or maybe because the hypothetical situation made me hypothetically sympathetic, end bracket. But as I thought on it, I felt a bit panicked and from that reaction figured that I'd rather be alone for the rest of my life than have to deal with something like that. Bracket, with the sensitive emotions of others? Question mark. With the emotions of sensitive others. End bracket. I wondered if it meant I couldn't like or be with sensitive people because they would be hurt far too easily. Always setting off my meter. Bracket. It's awkward describing meter, but maybe you can try interpreting it as quote unquote sensitive heartstrings, whereas the heart is in the shape and form of a crimson gold harp. Each minute emotional disturbance sends a massive vibrations through all adjacent strings, the harp itself and the very air around it. End bracket. I wondered if it was why I was attracted to quote unquote asshole or quote unquote bad boy types. Bracket. Or those traditionally associated with masculinity and less associated with refined intellect. Like myself. End bracket. Because they supposedly have less sensitive emotions and would be less likely to set off my meter consequently, maybe? I just don't know, but as I thought on it, I came to the conclusion that it's no wonder some people develop thick skins. Bracket. Note, don't take that the wrong way. When I say I was attracted to bad boys and assholes, I meant that I found them to be an interesting dichotomy. Moody or brooding, introverted and or pensive but callous guys that seemed like jerks to others interested me because, where I was concerned, they seemed to make exceptions. They were assholes to everyone else, even their girlfriends for some of them, but they showed me a different side, a softer, more considerate side, or a fun side. That was strange for me, but I loved it. I loved that I was the exception to this mask. I loved that I was trusted enough and allowed in to see a side of these guys, these people that not many others had gotten to see back then. It was strange for me because, in my youth, a lot of the people I associated with were inconsiderate, taunting, ridiculing, or belittling. And with these tough guys, these guys that were inconsiderate, taunting, ridiculing, and belittling to others, or to everyone else, it was the exact opposite with me. They weren't that way with me. Notice a strange, possibly Freudian pattern? Question mark. If you don't, I'm not going to point it out for you. It was weird for me because the guys that I considered friends when I was younger were royal jackoffs to me, I guess. But in a weird, twisted way, bad boys seemed like the nice, sensitive guys, and the nice or normal guys were the callous, hurtful ones. End bracket. And as I'm thinking on it now, it feels as if last night's thoughts, bracket, during the car ride with Rick, end bracket, might have been simple over-exaggerations, and my feelings then, over-exaggerations as well. It hurts a little, bracket, my heart due to thoughts, end bracket. But it's not a horrible pang like I felt it might be last night. I generally have a moderately thick skin, end bracket. I suspected that, end bracket, the reason why Geminian people do not usually put me off, like most other signs have the potential to usually do, is because of the intent behind their words and actions. I understand them very well, usually, and vice versa. And when we converse, or when I'm hurt by one of them, it's not because it was their intent, but simply a side effect of, bracket, our communication, my own emotional reaction, end bracket. It's the intent behind an action or spoken thought that my meter reads most efficiently. Gemini intent is usually simple, to enjoy and have fun, experience too maybe, but not to harm, rarely that, and never with me, or so I hope. Although there are exceptions to every rule. Brad. Point being, I'm sensitive as in very aware, but not sensitive as in extremely emotionally sensitive. And with good reason, because if it feels somewhere along the lines of how I felt last night, then it has the potential to be incredibly crippling. Hence the reason I usually keep a strong lock on my emotions. Bracket. Honestly, some things won't change about me. With regards to keeping my true depth of emotions on a given topic or for a given person concealed and reserved. But I find that the more emotional experiences I have in life, the broader my range of expression becomes. The broader my expressive capabilities become, the deeper I feel about a given topic or person, and the deeper I feel about something, the more I try to understand it and why I feel that way about it. This, perhaps exhaustive internal research, results in more effective interpretations via determined divergent thinking. Additionally, this facilitates my looking deeper for similar traits or potential in others. I don't meet many intellectuals. I meet even fewer intellectual artists. I feel a bit like I am a strange dichotomous paradox at times. Science relies on facts and knowledge, and art relies on sensibilities and impressions, and I try and blend the two, thinking about art with a scientific mind and finding science boring when there's no room for subjective interpretation. Another good reason I chose psychology as my major over computer engineering, writing, music, and medicine. End bracket. Okay, now moving on. I still have interests from my last file, from my last entry in this file, bracket, all the people I mentioned previously, end bracket. But I also have new ones. Now, for instance, I have interest in an Aquarian Pisces cusp kid named Ben. I say kid, but in reality he's 6 years older than me, bracket, and a few inches taller than me, end bracket. He's actually a lot like me though. Whimsical, youth-hearted, interested in similar things. He has an attractive, scruffy face, and he's tall, around 6'0" or 6'1". He studies massage and is in an all-girl class currently, except for him, of course. He plans on taking me to this Rocky Horror Picture Show thingy. What is it with other Aquarians in that movie? Bracket. Max's ex-girlfriend was a Middle Eastern Aquarius. She really liked that movie as well. Personally, I found it strange and was turned off by it initially. End bracket. But he's going to give me a massage first. For his class, he needs to massage 10 more people for hands-on real-world experience before his assignment is complete. He's a really cool guy, and I plan on seeing him again. I met him online. Tongue face emoji? But it was also fairly platonic, which is how I like my first intros with truly interesting people to go. At least at the time of writing this. Now, on to the next person, or persons. Before I forget, I still have an interest in Z, of course, but my access to him is now more limited by his location in Cumberland, the furthest he's lived from me so far. Other factors that make it hard to hang out. He doesn't have a doorbell or a cell phone. He lives on the 3rd floor of his apartment building. I'm always busy nowadays. Plus, he recently started redating Tessa again, which takes more of his time. That's a pity. I liked it when he stopped by randomly and yelled for me outside my window. I felt special. LMAO. There is this Asian guy at school, Cicero Lincoln campus. He keeps giving me looks occasionally, and he's really attractive, so I kind of hope he's interested, but even if he was, it's not like I'd ever go up and talk to him, or ask him about it. It's a shame, he really is cute. Smiley emoji. And if he is gay or bi, then he'd be perfect. Not literally, but figuratively, although hopefully he's not a Leo. Recently, I've found that I've developed a dislike for that sign and wariness for Scorpios. Can you guess why? Bracket. Note to anyone who is a Leo or Scorpio and reading this book. Don't be saddened. This distaste and these phases aren't permanent. As it turns out, I grow out of this dislike and straight into the arms of a Scorpio that made me very happy. And I like Leos, but it's a bit of an adversarial relationship because both my mom and my grandpa are Leos, and we are often at odds with one another. You guys still rock though. End bracket. Next would be Matt, the straight Virgo that I take with me to E-Club sometimes. He's dating another girl, a Taurus. He says they're hitting it off really well. So, despite his tight jeans, revealing the bulge of his personal outline while we're discussing her, and him seeming fond of talking to me at times, friendship of course, I don't see our relation going anywhere. I'm not particularly fond of cutting in on anyone's turf when a relationship is involved, an official relationship at least. I'd like to keep him around though. It's nice to have someone to go to the club with every once in a while, especially someone I'm attracted to. I guess I like to be surrounded not necessarily by attractive people, but by people I'm attracted to. Although I am flattered when people tell me my friends are hot. Of course. How could I forget Pankaj? Another Gemini acquaintance slash friend of mine. I met him online. He's Indian, tall, slender, I think. Friendly. Another 26-year-old, maybe. And he can hold a very good internet chat, although I wonder if the same holds true in person. As the semester winds up, before winding down, I found I have less time to talk with him, and thus I find him slipping from the forefront of my mind, along with that warm feeling I had whenever I spoke with him. Bracket, corresponding via email, end bracket. I believe that really is a shame. I hope we can reconnect in the future or over break. Another person I think is somewhat attractive, bear in mind my interest usually starts as something small, is, surprise, surprise, another Gemini. Get this. I actually guessed his sign mentally before I asked his birthday and found out. The giveaway was this shyness to him and this subtle manner about him that seemed uncertain, maybe a tentative smile or something. I'm not sure, but I'll just chalk it up to my meter reader in action. He actually seemed to like me a bit after I talked to him, and although he has a girlfriend, he hangs around with Pete a lot. Pete is a comical 30 to 40-year-old extroverted Caucasian homosexual Sagittarius. Although we all do, so. So I guess I can't really assume anything. I kind of hope he is, though. He smiles at me when I leave, and I like that smiley face emoji. Maybe I should get to know him better. Other than that, maybe Tyler, although he's a heteronormative, muscular, cardinal Cancer, and a good friend. And in half my classes, which means no liking him, though it doesn't mean I can't think he's attractive. And Rodrigo, who, despite being a Capricorn, I seem to enjoy seeing more and more of. I like his inflection when he says, "Hey, buddy." It goes down in the U and comes up on the DY part. I don't recall anybody else worth mentioning, or at least no one else that pops into my head, so I guess we can move on for now. Let's see. Another observation I made about myself before even the meter sensitivity one was as follows, and this observation was courtesy of me almost getting fired. I'm a very task oriented person. I feel better and maybe focus better when I have clear expectations and guidelines on what I'm supposed to do. I don't like to be told what to do per se, but I do appreciate order, organization, and clarity to help me achieve my goal. End of observation. And since I can't think of anything else of significance to say, I guess it's the end of this entry as well.